Let's talk about that feeling you get when an app just works. It's smooth, it's intuitive, it feels right. Well, that's not an accident. There's a hidden science behind it called human-computer interaction. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how it's done.
You know the feeling? You're just trying to do one simple thing, and you hit this invisible wall. Suddenly, you're clicking everywhere, getting weird errors, and you start to think, am I the problem here? We've all been there. It's one of the most universal and frustrating digital experiences.
So, let's get right into it. Why exactly do some apps make us feel so lost? The good news is, it's not a personal failure. It's actually a design problem, and there's a real science to pinpointing exactly what's going on.
I'm going to say it again. It's not your fault. A pioneer in this field, a guy named Don Norman, figured out that most of our digital frustration comes from these two massive gaps between what we want to do and what the technology lets us do. He called them gulfs.
Okay, so the first one is the gulf of execution. This is the how in the world do I do this problem. You know what you want, say to register for a class, but you can't find the button, or the steps are just totally confusing. The other side of that coin is the gulf of evaluation. This is the what just happened moment. You finally click submit and crickets. Did it work? Did it fail? You have no idea. Both of these gulfs are a complete failure of design. So, if those are the problems, what's the solution? Well, designers don't just guess. They have a blueprint, a set of powerful core principles that help them build bridges across those frustrating gulfs.
The first and maybe most important principle is visibility. It's pretty simple, really. A good design should make it obvious what you can do and what's happening right now. It doesn't make you play detective or try to remember what you clicked 3 screens ago. It puts everything you need right out in the open.
Think about your email for a second. That big, clear Attach button, that's visibility. It's not hidden in a menu. It's right there showing you in possible action. And when you click on an email and it lights up or changes color, that's also visibility. It's showing you the system's current state. It's so simple, but it's absolutely crucial. Next up, we have constraints. Now, this might sound negative, but constraints in design are actually your best friend. They're like smart guardrails that gently guide you and stop you from making a mistake before it even happens.
You've definitely seen this one. That grayed out submit button on a form, that's a perfect constraint. The system physically prevents you from moving forward with an incomplete form. It saves you from the annoying experience of clicking submit, waiting, and then getting a, whoops, you missed a field error. It's proactive, not reactive. But even with the best design principles in the world, we're human. Errors are going to happen. The key thing here is that not all errors are created equal. And designers have a really important way of thinking about them. They separate them into slips and mistakes. So what's the difference? A slip is basically an accident. Think of it like a typo with your finger. You meant to order your food regular, but you accidentally tapped spicy because the buttons were too close. Your goal was right, but your action was just a little off. A mistake, on the other hand, is much deeper. It's a misunderstanding. You think that a delivery estimate of 6 to 6:30 is a solid guarantee, when it's really just an estimate. Your entire plan was based on a wrong idea of how the system actually works.
And here's the really cool part. By diagnosing which kind of error it is, designers can apply a specific fix. If people are making action-based slips, maybe you just need to make the buttons bigger. If they're having memory lapse slips, like forgetting the save, maybe the app should just auto-save. But if it's a knowledge-based mistake, you need to fix the communication itself. Use clearer language, make things more visible. Every problem has a tailored solution.
But great design isn't just about playing defense and fixing errors after they happen. The best designers go on offense. They try to predict how people will behave so they can optimize the experience from the very beginning. And yeah, you guessed it, they've got scientific models for that too.
Okay, don't let the name scare you, but one of the classic models for this is called GOMS. It sounds super technical, but the idea is actually simple. It's a way to break down any task into the tiniest possible steps that an expert user would take. We're talking fractions of a second. By analyzing these tiny pieces, you can find all the wasted motion and make the whole process way more efficient. Let's make this real. Imagine you want to make some text bold. GOMS breaks this down into what it calls operators. First, there's M for the tiny mental prep your brain does. Then P for physically pointing your mouse to the bold icon. And finally K for the keystroke or the click. Each one of those has an average time associated with it.
So what's the point of all this? By adding up those tiny little times, you can scientifically predict which method is faster. Is it pointing and clicking the icon, or is it using a keyboard shortcut like Control-B? The analysis almost always reveals that moving your hand to the mouse and pointing is a really expensive and slow operation. So the goal becomes obvious: design a faster method and maybe even teach people that shortcut to save them time.
All right, so you've diagnosed a problem, you've applied some solid design principles, and you've even predicted a better solution. But here's a big question. How do you actually prove that your new design is better? Well, you don't guess, you test it scientifically.
For a test to be worth anything, it has to be rock solid. That means it needs to meet 3 key criteria. First, it has to be reliable. If you run the test again, you should get the same results. Second, it has to be valid, which means you're actually measuring the thing you think you're measuring. And finally, it has to be generalizable, meaning the results you see with your small group of testers will actually hold true for all your real users out in the wild.
And here's what separates the pros from the amateurs. A good design team sets a clear, measurable goal before they even start testing. They define what success looks like. It's not some vague feeling like we want it to be easier. It's a hard number, a success criterion like, our new design must lead to a 40% or greater reduction in mistakes without slowing people down. That's how you know if you've really won.
So when you put it all together, you can see that creating an app that just feels right is, well, it's anything but magic. It's this methodical scientific process. It's a cycle of diagnosing the problem, applying principles, predicting how people will act, and then proving with cold, hard data that your solution actually made things better.
So the next time an app makes you want to tear your hair out, you'll see it differently. You won't just feel frustrated, you'll see the gulfs, you'll spot the missing constraints. You'll understand the science behind why it's broken. But now that you've also seen the blueprint for how to fix it, that really only leaves one question. What will you build?